When dealing with a cat, there are 10 pretty stupid mistakes. Not stupid because they are obvious, but because it would be quite foolish to lose your cat's trust over these things. So pay close attention and let's get started right away. First, approaching too quickly. Especially if you haven't had your cat for very long and she isn't completely sure whether you are fully trustworthy. It can scare your cat if you approach her quickly or even invade her personal space. In the worst case, this could mean that you attack, causing your kitty to flee. This is especially true if you have adopted an already adult cat from a shelter or animal rescue, and you don't know exactly what she may have experienced. This behavior can, in the worst case, lead to your cat being afraid of you for a long time or losing trust. If your cat has been with you for a longer period, knows you well, and has seen you running around more often, she might be completely insensitive to this. Second, leaving her alone for too long. Cats are independent animals that spend a lot of their day sleeping and roaming around. You might get the idea that our dear kitties don't really care whether someone is in the house or not. But this is not the case. Especially indoor cats kept alone without the opportunity to meet other cats outside need our attention and affection. If during weekdays, no one is at home from 7 in the morning until 6 in the evening, this can have an extremely negative impact on your cat's mood and in the long term, on her health. So please make sure that your cat doesn't have to spend too much time alone, or ideally consider getting her a playmate. Third, getting too close to your face too often. This is especially true if you haven't had your cat for very long. Let her come to you and don't be too intrusive with your face. We often tend to want to cuddle up. Many cats like that quite a lot. But as long as the trust base is not yet there, your cat might find it extremely intrusive and annoying if you, so to speak, follow her around with your face. So it's better to wait until she starts giving little head nudges and sits on your lap. Then you can also approach her with your face occasionally. Fourth, not respecting boundaries. Cats usually set clear boundaries, either relatively clearly or more subtly. One clear variant is when your cat scratches you, hisses at you, or leaps up in annoyance and runs away. The somewhat subtler variant is that your cat avoids you and withdraws to other rooms. Regardless of what type of boundary it is, you should absolutely respect it. Adjust your behavior, and especially leave her alone at that moment. Otherwise, you risk that your cat starts to avoid you more and more. Fifth, being inconsistent. Another mistake lies in cat training. We are too willing to let our kitties soften us, but if you don't want something, you must be consistent. For example, if you want to prevent your cat from jumping on the dining table, there should never be exceptions. You must always and as quickly as possible politely but consistently remove or shoo her off the table. As soon as a cat senses inconsistency, she will try again and again until it becomes too bothersome for you and she ultimately prevails. Consistency saves you a lot of energy in the long run, and even though we always like to say that our cats train us and not the other way around, for some things that just shouldn't be the case, and you can prevent it. Sixth, losing patience. Just as important in cat training is not losing patience and then becoming loud, slapping your cat, or taking even more drastic measures. If you remain consistent but friendly, your cat will respect her boundaries over time. If, on the other hand, you are loud or even brutal, she might get rid of the unwanted behavior but at a high cost. She could then categorize you as a threat and try to avoid you whenever possible. Seventh, too much chaos. Most cats like two things above all: routines and calm. The exact opposite of both is if there is a lot of coming and going in your apartment, especially if your cat doesn't have enough opportunities to retreat. Noise and constantly new people who might also keep approaching your cat and not leave her in peace can be a major source of insecurity for your kitty. This can even lead to her not feeling comfortable in her own home anymore. Especially if it's unavoidable that people are often around, your cat should have the opportunity to retreat to another room where she has a bed or a sleeping hideout and is definitely left alone. Eighth, introducing to other cats. If you have one cat and want to get a new one, it's basically a great idea. Most cats are much more balanced when they have a playmate. However, this does not mean that a new cat will immediately be welcomed with open arms into your cat's own domain. On the contrary, often the current feline will react aggressively to the new housemate. If you proceed too hastily and quickly with the introduction, it may result in immediate conflicts and problems between the two cats. Therefore, you need to proceed slowly and carefully and introduce the cats to each other very gradually. Ninth, overfeeding your cat. It's quite easy to find out how much wet food our kitties need per day, and most owners stick to that. However, we often forget that a few bites of dry food here, 3 to 4 treats there, and a piece of meat while cooking also add up to calories. Losing track here risks your furry friend becoming overweight, and this can have drastic consequences. From diabetes to tumor diseases to constantly painful joints, unfortunately, many issues are possible. If you want to do your cat a favor, make sure not to spoil her too much, at least not with food. 10th, not treating your cat as an individual. Even if you diligently watch videos or read the best cat guides, all statements are always kept relatively general, and often you do your kitty no favors if you don't prioritize her individual character. Just because 90% of cats don't like being petted against the grain doesn't mean that your indoor tiger doesn't exactly love it. And the same goes, of course, for many other areas. Accordingly, stay informed, always keep your cat's well-being in mind, but try to figure out for yourself what is best for your particular furry friend instead of just implementing one-to-one what you are told. But we are quite sure that you probably already do that anyway. If you now want to know what 6 nasty things your cat secretly thinks about you, then click on the image to the left to watch our video on this topic. And have you ever wondered if cats actually really know their names correctly? The answer will surprise you. Click on the image to the right to find out.